Hi, my name is Lisa Shea, and I'm an author, and I'm here with fellow wonderful horror author Jason Perrin, who's written quite a number of books, and we'll talk about with them today. So, hi, welcome, Jason.
Hello, thanks for having me, Lisa.
So, tell us about your book.
Well, my most recent book, let's see if I can get it on the camera here, is The Apocalypse Strain.
I
Or,
love that cover. That is an amazing
that
cover.
reminds me of those. I don't know if you ever watched those old that Canadian show with John. I can't forget what it's called. SCTV, I think.
Yep.
But John Candy would take like, you want some more syrup, and you go. Ooh.
Yep.
Well, then you're probably the only person that would get that joke.
No, I'm sure people will.
Anyway, I like that show. Anyway, so The Apocalypse Strain, back to that, is a book about a well, not a pandemic, so to speak, but about a virus, which is I want to say I wrote it in 2015, and it's just being published now, which is either
Timely.
unfortunate or unfortunate, depending how you look at it. But it's nothing to do with anything like COVID. There have been comparisons to The Thing, The Blob, even Resident Evil, which I would consider the book almost an homage to John Carpenter's The Thing, which is my favorite movie of all time. I didn't think of Resident Evil or Alien or some of the other comparisons it's been getting since when I was writing it, but I like those too, so I wouldn't be surprised if subconsciously that kind of filtered into my writing.
Right.
I guess I'll just read the back cover for you. At a remote Siberian research facility, Clara St. Pierre leads a top-notch multinational research team studying their latest and most exciting discovery, an ancient Pandora virus, an organic substance with unique but troublesome characteristics. The team soon learns that the virus is highly volatile and not benign. It seems that infection leads to madness and a murderous rage, but the truth is far worse. As terror and carnage rage through the facility, the team must join forces with the base's security unit and a mysterious stranger to prevent the virus from ending up in the wrong hands. The virus cannot be allowed to leave the compound. Its escape could mean the end of all life on the planet. But the virus has a will of its own, and it wants out. So.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, it came out on August 11th from Flame Tree Press in hardcover, paperback, and ebook. So it's my 8th novel.
Wow.
But I'm proud of it. I hope people enjoy it. It's been, been on the blog tours and doing all that stuff. Finally winding down until I have my next release in November, I guess. I get a little reprieve from.
How long did it take you to write it?
This one was actually fairly quick. So when I write horror, and I write in other genres, thrillers, sci-fi, I tend to do an action horror or survival horror or something that's very fast-paced. So I write it equally fast-paced, it seems. I've had novels. One of my crime dramas took 12 years to write.
Wow.
This one took probably. I was also writing it with a deadline for a competition going to submit it for. So probably 6 to 8 months first draft. This or They Feed, another horror novel of mine, probably the fastest. But They Feed was easy because it was survival horror that took place pretty much one night, same setting in the woods.
Okay.
10, 12 characters at the beginning, a few, maybe none at the end. That's it.
Right.
Yeah, you either live or you die in that span, and then it's over. It moves really fast. Same thing here. You got a little setup with the virus, the characters, and then all hell breaks loose, and you're either there at the beginning, you're there at the beginning, but you may not be there at the end, which is probably a day or two later. So it's easier to write when you don't have multiple settings, multiple days, and events happening in all different places on the earth and different time frame zones and stuff. So my research was limited to the Siberian tundra where this takes place, and some scientific facts, a lot of genomics research and DNA type research. And actually my lead character has MS, so I had to do more research on that too.
Yeah.
So my best friend's mother has MS, and she kind of inspired the character.
Oh, great.
So 16
Well, it probably
about
helps that you wrote in a fictional facility so that you could set up the way that you wanted to set up and not have to worry about people nitpicking you about how things were laid out, compared to write about, I don't know, Paris or something like that.
I haven't gotten that nitpicking yet. Like, so I wrote Victoria, takes place in Venice.
Hmm.
I've been to Venice, which is a beautiful, beautiful city.
Yes, yes, I love Venice.
Nobody's called me out on any details but I do, all my crime dramas take place in Fall River, which, being from the area, I'm sure you're familiar with what a poop hole.
No, no, not that bad.
I'm from there in that area, so I could say that it's home base.
It has character.
It did. It was a mill city at one point, and now it's doesn't have much going for it, in my opinion. But
Next
hopefully,
to Worcester.
well, Worcester's actually coming back, I think.
Yes, yes.
It's got more of an arts community, more of a. So New Bedford was like that too for a while, but now they have a nice downtown area, arts community, really get involved. Some of the college campuses have moved there for like satellite offices.
Hmm.
It's really nice. I hope Fall River can do the same thing, but right now, if it stays dismal, it's good for my crime drama.
Yeah. Yes, the dark gritty.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to the most recent one,
Yep.
the Apocalypse Strain. Um, it's up from Flame Tree, so it's in the UK, it's in the US. No, like I said, it's really got nothing in there that anybody can call me on, except for maybe Pandora viruses versus organic, other organic micro substances.
Hmm.
I did the research, but it's since left my head.
Oh, yeah, sure.
It was 2015. I moved on, people. I'm sorry. I'm not a microbiologist at this time. But I mean, obviously, it's not hard science fiction. It's not soft either. It's somewhere in the middle, I'd say.
Hmm.
Um, but not completely unrealistic, I would
Hmm.
say. We
Oh,
keep
well,
digging it.
as we know from the world around us.
Well, it was actually based on an actual dig up of a Pandora virus in the Siberian tundra.
Hmm.
So we're doing that today. We're
Yeah.
unearthing these ancient viruses that nobody knows what they'll do to the earth.
Right, right. This couldn't possibly go wrong.
Yeah. So real news inspired the story.
Oh, great. Do you have any trouble killing off your characters, or does it make you happy?
Oh, not at all. I love it. I think writing death scenes might be my favorite thing to do.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll see in some of the reviews, Parent has no problem killing off the character. And with this one, I would love you to try to guess who's going to survive and who won't. And that
Okay.
I think is part of the fun of the story. I did the same thing with They Feed. Maybe one character in each. I'll tell you, at least one character in each survives.
Hmm.
Maybe someone might be predictable, but the other person, not so much. And it doesn't matter if you're a good guy or a bad guy. If a virus is coming after, a monster is coming after you.
Right.
I don't think it's going to distinguish about the quality of your morals when it's
Right.
deciding whether to eat you. So everybody likes to see the good guys win, but I don't think that would be accurate even in a fictional scenario.
Well, I mean, Lord of the Rings, they killed off Boromir to raise the stakes, and then they almost killed off Gandalf, depending how you look at it.
Yeah, that was the saddest part of the book for me. That's the trilogy, because that's the end of the first book.
Mm-hmm.
He's my favorite character because he's human, and I mean human in the sense that he has faults, and he's not ideal like Frodo. Frodo's got his fears and his weaknesses and all that, but he doesn't seem to have a flawed bone inside him, moralistically speaking. Or Sam probably even a better character. But Boromir is. I mean, why wouldn't you consider using it against your enemies? The ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's an all-powerful weapon, and you're in a threat of losing the world to this unimaginable evil, why not consider that at least as a real possibility?
Right.
Well, I could talk Lord of the Rings with you all day. I'd rather talk Lord of the Rings than about me, actually.
No. We could talk about that later. All right. So what else have you written?
Well, I have 8 novels, like I said, 3 or 4 novellas, ton of short stories, and one collection. So the novels range from They Feed, What Hides Within, Victoria, and The Apocalypse Strange. Apocalypse Strange are my 4 horror slash. I blend genres like crazy, so horror. Well, part horror novels, I'd say.
Okay.
They Feed, Apocalypse Strain are kind of like almost like an action blockbuster movie. So I do write very cinematography. No, that's not the word I'm looking for.
Cinematically?
Hey, you're the writer. You tell me.
Cinematically.
There you go. Yeah, and so it's always like a movie playing out in the reader's head. But then What Hides Within is a horror mystery / dark humor book. The sequel was less humor, because What Hides Within is about a spider living in someone's head, which freaks people out in and of itself.
I wonder why.
Also based on a real news article. Oh, you should type that up if you really want to be disgusted.
No.
But the sequel to it, or it's not really a sequel, it's more like a spin-off, like I guess Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul kind of.
Yep.
Because the spider is in a new character's head. Same spider though.
Okay.
And then on the thriller side, I've written I just finished a draft of Speaking Evil. So there was Seeing Evil, Hearing Evil, Speaking Evil.
Okay.
And no, people out there will be no smelling evil.
Oh, you have to go for all the senses.
A touch of evil.
Touching evil, yep.
Yeah, I think smelling might be out. Obviously, with the whole see no evil, hear no evil, see no, hear no, speak no evil theme. I wanted the monkeys on the cover, but they didn't make it.
Oh.
Well, those are kind of Dead Zone-ish. So think of instead of Johnny Smith from the Dead Zone, you have a 14-year-old boy with psychic powers, based on touch as well, but not in the same way of Johnny Smith. And he's working with kind of a detective foster mother, so to speak. Well, it becomes almost like a foster mother as the series goes on. That one has the most mass kind of commercial appeal, I'd say, mainstream appeal. It's not as rough or gory as some of my other stuff, or graphically violent. But, there's still their moments.
Well, but things like Kill Bill got hugely popular, and Aliens had all sorts of scenes in it. So
Aliens is great. Yeah,
I think there's a big audience for that sort of story. But I hear what you're saying.
What I try to do is a kind of a combo of Alien and Aliens. So I love the action and horror of Aliens and the blood and guts and the mass hysteria, but the suspense of Alien 1, I would say Alien 1 it's between Alien and maybe Shawshank Redemption for my favorite movie of all time.
Yep.
So, and The Thing. And you can see it, and Big Trouble in Little China, we'll throw that in there too.
What's the fourth one?
I'm sorry?
What's the fourth one?
Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, okay, yes.
A ridiculous movie, so you can see where my humor comes in. Yeah, I would say the 80s horror, 80s John Carpenter stuff has definitely influenced a lot of my stuff. So there will be some campy humor thrown in at some point, if not all the way through. So yeah, I'm not looking to win any Pulitzers with this stuff. I'm looking to entertain and for people to have fun, and I hope the quality of writing is still top notch. But you're not going to see the flowy, artsy, the shadows melted into the I don't even know. I can't even do it. But you know what I mean. I do like atmosphere as much as the next guy, but I think it'll take you, if you're reading a scene about, leech type creatures biting people's legs off, it'll take you right out of the scene. If you
Right,
get
right,
this
yeah.
flowy language. You know how they say, I'm sure as a writer, they say, kill your babies.
Mhm.
I do fight for one here and there, but I'll let the editors kill most of mine when I start to wax poetic. How about you?
Well, I tend to self-publish and self-edit, although I have a fan base that likes my style. So I generally resist people actually chopping giant chunks of my stories out. But I suppose in the beginning, I did have people doing that to me, and I had to negotiate with myself whether I wanted to let them do it or not. But I've never had anyone force it on me, so I suppose I'm fortunate in that sense.
I So most of my, I do have a literature and English background
Mhm.
and major. Yeah, and it's only because it's the only thing I could finish college in 4 years with. I
Mhm.
switched my major probably officially 119 times. So indecisive, just like I am on the genres that I write.
I don't want to call that indecisive. I call it multi-talented Renaissance man.
Yeah. Or jack of all trades, master of none.
Oh no, you're very good at what you write.
Well, I don't consider myself to be I, I'm very open to everybody's opinions. I have had editors that have obviously edit, and that's probably the first rule of editing. If you're going to edit something, don't edit to something wrong. I won't use you again if you do that. But I've learned most of my creative writing through trial and error, going
Mhm.
through different editors, moving, classes like those you teach,
Mhm.
for publishing, especially. Um, I've made my mistakes and I'm kind of clawed my way up, I guess.
Yep,
I'm
yep.
not where I want to be yet, but certainly happy where I am, what I've achieved. So,
Well, you have a nice library of books. There are tons of writers who would dream about having the books out that you have.
so I hear, but like everybody, I'm ambitious, I guess.
Mhm.
I mean, who
Well, it's
doesn't
good.
want it?
I was talking with someone else about that yesterday. It's good to always want more and to want to improve. But I think it's also good to look back at how far you've gotten already and how
True.
many other people would dream desperately of getting as far as you are now.
Well, I guess I bet you've had the same experience. Your first goal was, okay, I'm gonna try to write a book,
Mhm.
and then you meet that goal. So you got to set a new goal.
Yep, yep.
All right, I'm gonna try to publish a book.
Mhm.
All right, you met that goal. You can't just you gotta. I would say my next goal is to option a book for film, and well, actually, see, I have had some offers for options, which was fantastic, but
Oh,
nothing's come of them.
mhm.
I would love to see, and I think my books lend themselves to film, like I was saying. I'd love to see one of them made into a film, and I don't even care what they do with it because it's not a money thing, but I would be honored, first of
Mhm.
all, somebody
Yep.
would like my idea well enough to make it into a book. And second, I love to see other people's interpretations of,
Mhm.
of this is what I thought when I was writing the scene, but this is what they're picturing and this is what it should be. That'd be like, I could take it a whole different direction and it wouldn't offend me. It would be an honor, and I mean, if it's a crappy movie, it's a crappy movie, but
Mhm.
I'd still be thankful for the chance to see it on film. How about you? You have anything that you want to see made into a feature film?
I
I'm
don't
throwing
think I
questions
would
back at you.
mind if something did, but I think I would be more upset if they really twisted the characters and made the characters into ones that I was unhappy with. So I think for me it would be a double-edged sword. And also, like I said, I like sitting at home writing and being quiet. So I think the last thing I want is for hordes of people to know about me and to start affecting my life like that. So
Oh, most people don't remember the screenwriter. You don't
I
got to worry
suppose.
about
Well, but
that.
if it's based on a book and now, everyone's out buying the book, then that
Right.
could cause a problem. So I'm happy with my sales where they are. I don't want to get up into a higher stratosphere of sales, I suppose is what I'm saying. Because it brings a whole nother level of baggage on that I'm not prepared for.
So what you're saying is I should help promote your work so that we get those sales. I'm just to make you uncomfortable.
No,
And
no.
it could be the next J.K. Rowling or.
All right, so wait, we were talking about your mystery books.
Oh, oh, I love doing questions on the interviewers. My mystery books. Where are we? So,
Well, we were
okay,
talking about all your books, and then we got sidetracked before we got to the mystery books.
sidetrack's fun.
Yes, it is.
um, well, I would say my next book is horror as
Mhm,
well, coming out in November from Crystal Lake Publishing. It's a novella,
mhm.
and again, it's going to be that fast-paced action horror. So that takes place pretty much a night in 2 days following. It's about a man involved in it. He's not a good guy. He's not. He's kind of the anti-hero. He's not.
Yeah.
He's better than the people that are the bad guys. Let's put it that way. But he's a career criminal. Nothing. No murders. No violent crimes. But not except for the fact that he's involved in a shootout at the beginning of the book.
Well, that happens sometimes.
And he gets shot, and he's escaping the scene in this very fast car that he owns. I'm sorry, it takes place in Vegas
Okay.
at the beginning. So, have you been to Vegas?
Oh yeah, I like to get. Well, I don't like to gamble, but I love Vegas in general. With just all the stuff it has available there. It has the
Always
museums.
something
I
to
love the
do.
fountains.
Yeah, always something to do.
Yes, yes.
So when you're flying in, you see those brown mountains.
Yep.
Basically, picture that. That's the setting. It's a desert, kind of arid land surrounded by those brown mountains. When he drives out of Vegas, he drives into that kind of fading away as he's driving because he's losing a lot of blood. Not really paying attention, just trying to get the hell out of there.
Right.
Heck out of there, if that's better. So when he comes to, he's being taken care of in this little community inside a desert surrounded by those mountains. He's still got his car. What ends up happening is that he's trapped in that community because there's something living in the mountains. So what kind of happens is it becomes Death Race or Fast and Furious meets H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay.
So you got, I can picture his car on the cover surrounded by that kind of that setting with the mountains and maybe tentacles I know H.P. Lovecraft is not just tentacles.
I tell you, when you said Lovecraft, I was thinking tentacles.
I'm trying to give you the imagery without giving away the whole monster and what's going on. But yeah, I think so. It's basically a race to stay to try to escape that little community that he's in with a varied group of community members. So it becomes almost like a survival horror. Can these people escape? But in cars, I'm not even a car guy, so that's where my research came.
Right.
Like, what car would I want? His car, the main car is actually a Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat, which is a souped up version of a Dodge Charger. Very fast car. And then we got some other, like one person has a Hummer, one person has a dune buggy kind of thing, because they're out. It depended how they got there and what they were driving to get there. It all makes sense when you read it. But that's coming out in November. I expect that would be like a one sitting read. It's about 30,000 words being a novella.
Okay, yeah.
But it moves so fast. And I think people will really take to it. I hope people will really take to it. And maybe someone will make a film out of it too. That'd be great. Yeah. I don't need the fame either, but I would love to see the film.
I hear you. It would definitely be a fun, creative thing to watch it unfold. It would be neat to be involved with it, to be able to talk with the actors and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, like Josh Malerman with Bird Box recently, and I'm sure Mallory's going to be a film too. I would love to just go on set. Like he got to meet Sandra Bullock and all the stars of that movie, and have some creative input too. That'd be awesome.
Right.
But I don't know how to make a film, so I would, say maybe you could do this, but if you
Right.
think it's better this way, then I wouldn't be that guy that says it has to be. No, this character needs a mustache.
Right. Right.
But I get it. Like you were saying, you do fall in love with your characters, and you don't want to see them miscast or just turned into some boot heel that you didn't expect them to be.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, or fortunately, unlike you, I have a very short, bad long-term memory. So I've already moved past my characters in the first 7 novels, and except for the series, which I'd be more sensitive about than the other ones, because I do have kind of some intimacy with those the two main characters, at least in those books, and plan on revisiting them probably, at least one more time going forward. You can make my characters anything that you want. A Buddhist monk could replace, an aggressive MMA fighter or something. It would be it'd be funny to see, but I'm not tied to any real descriptions. Though I will say that people have asked me, like, who would you cast? Have you been asked that question? Who would you cast as your
sometimes,
character? Yeah. Unfortunately, did you watch the Star Trek movies?
Oh yeah.
The new ones. I can't think of his name right now, but he played Chekhov.
Okay.
He passed away. I would have cast him as my main character and What Hides Within.
Oh, okay.
It was. Why can't I think? Andre. No, that's going to drive me nuts.
I'll look it up later.
but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Great actor, underrated, and unfortunately passed away before his time. And then other times, the character. So I would have picked Diane Lane for my female detective. But now she's probably older than the character.
Right.
So,
you need a time machine.
Yeah. She would have been perfect. Even when she did a movie in the early 2000s where she played a detective. She would have been perfect. Her or Julianne Moore, I think, would have been perfect for the cast. But now I don't know. They'd probably put somebody like Jennifer Love Hewitt or something.
Well, soon we'll have AI characters so they can just program the actress you want and then have them do whatever scenes you want. So we won't need actual human actors anymore.
Oh no, I can tell you do like Star Trek then. Nothing wrong with that. I love it too.
Well, and speaking of, you wrote some science fiction.
I wrote one science fiction novel. Well, 2 if you count Apocalypse Strain, because that's sci-fi horror.
Right.
So, but People of the Sun was pretty much straight science fiction, almost superhero-ish though. It turns the alien invasion on its head, where the aliens are actually the good guys, in part are the good guys. So there's good guys and bad guys on both sides. We'll put it that way. But it's not. It's more based on. I don't want to get political on it, but how we treat. You could look at it as how we treat immigration and refugees, or you could draw parallels there. Not that I'm asking you to. And maybe certain administrations and how they treat. I'm not suggesting anything in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, there's obviously a political backdrop in there, and I don't usually write with that kind of agenda, and I didn't there either. It just came through because my opinions come through my characters. I can't help that,
Right. That wasn't me.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, that's fine. And mysterious noises. I will comment that I keep looking at the cabinets behind you, which are like dark and spooky, and I'm sort of tempted to put little eyeballs in there when I do my post editing.
Oh, the open ones? Yes. Thanks. Now I'm going to think something's reaching out at me.
Yep. So they'll be peering out at you. Oh, that's true. I could have like a little claw reaching its little hand around.
So what genres do you write besides horror?
I write pretty much everything. So my main ones, I've got 16 medieval romance novels. So I did a lot of sword fighting with the SCA and such. So they've got female sword fighters out there. It's the same as Aragorn and Arwen in essence, because I grew up reading that sort of stuff. And then I've got murder mysteries, and I've got science fiction, I've got fantasy, so I've got a little of everything. And then I was told by someone that you couldn't have a series that switched to different genres as it went. So then I started writing a Cthulhu series where every single book was a different genre. So it starts out as horror, and then it goes into romance, and then it goes into, I forget, mystery, and it goes into science fiction. So I had fun with that one.
So you have a mixed kind of reading taste to your.
Yeah, I'll read pretty much anything.
Yeah, me too. I will even read romance, usually only if it ends badly though.
Okay.
So I liked The English Patient. I thought that was a good movie. and I loved well, actually,
Atonement? No.
which one?
Atonement?
I don't know if I saw that. I
Oh,
remember.
okay. That's a romance that ends badly.
Actually, I did like. I'll give you some fodder to in watching fodder to make fun of me. I love the movie Far and Away.
Okay.
How bad is that?
Well, that's not bad at all.
and I actually think Tom Cruise is a pretty good actor. So despite his craziness on the side, he entertains me in his films. So yeah. So Eyes Wide Shut, not so much, but and Days of Thunder, not so much either. But the Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, I think they got it right in Far and Away.
Right. No, there's certain actors that just have the right chemistry together, and they have the right characters that they choose.
But my reading taste, I like yours. I read westerns. I read sci-fi, horror, thrillers, obviously. Fantasy. I love reading fantasy, but I can't write it. I wouldn't even try to write it.
Oh, why is that?
Well, I did try to write it in college. My very first novel that I tried to write never finished, and it was like, here's Ortho, the lizard man. I can't do it. I could probably do more, but Game of Thrones with a fraction of the characters, but not. There are some kind of mythical creatures in there, but when you get more fantastical, with I was trying to develop like a whole new race of creatures rather than deal with the dwarfs and elves and well, those were I had included those as well, but I wanted some original
right
to it, but it just came out bad, like really bad.
Well, but you were just getting started. It's natural for the first starting ones to have challenges.
Oh, I can't imagine me pulling off a good fantasy novel. Sci-fi, maybe. So I don't know if you're a video game fan, but like the early Final Fantasies, maybe.
Yep.
But the sci-fi fantasy, science. I'd probably better at the science fiction kind of Final Fantasies than the fantasy Final Fantasies. Even though I like playing the fantasy ones a lot better, and I like reading them a lot better. Do you know Michael Sullivan? The author. I love his stuff, fantasy-wise. Game of Thrones, obviously, the whole Song of Fire and Ice. Although, I don't know if there's any point in getting the next book at this point.
Oh, there always is. But who knows if he'll ever write it at this point? It'll be like the people who control his estate who have to finish it for him.
The Winds of Winter is coming in 2015. Oh no, wait, 2017. No way. 2030 maybe.
Well, and it's also probably hard for him to finish it because he's been in this world for so long and people are waiting for it. And if he lets them keep waiting, there's always anticipation. But if he puts it out, now he's going to have people yelling at him because they don't like it and being grumpy that the series is over. So it's like a downer to finish the series off.
Oh, I don't know. I think the fact that the series is over and the way it ended, he could only do better.
Well, I mean, yes, there's that too. But I don't think there's an upside in ending a series unless you have something else that you want to move on to write and you want to get rid of the series. But it doesn't seem like he's got something else that he'd rather do. So I guess we'll have to see.
I could give him a pro tip. Little Jason Parent going to give George R. Martin a pro tip right now. Stop introducing new characters and start killing off more of the existing ones, and then you'll have an ending. See, he could take a page from my book. Well,
I don't,
he's
I
going to
don't think
create.
I ever end any of my series. They always have some sort of an opening to keep going. And most of them, like the medieval series, I just keep going and going, and I will just keep writing. And there might be times when I run out of steam for something, and I'll just jump to one of my other series because I've got, I think, 31 series going simultaneously right now. So,
Did you just say 31?
well, but I don't write all of them all the time. So the medievals only come out once a year. The murder mysteries come out once a year, and the rest of them just come out hodgepodge whenever I feel like it, which means I have lots of grumpy readers who are waiting for to know what happens next, because I also love cliffhangers. So I keep leaving people on cliffhangers, and then I'll go do something else for 2 or 3 years.
31 series. That's impressive.
Well,
That
some
you
are
might have a
novellas.
record, I think.
I
I'm
like
gonna
to
look it
write.
up. I have one series. I
Oh
did.
no, you have bunches of different books, and you said the spider one has in 2 different heads.
It is, but I don't plan on. If I go back, each one is a standalone now. You can read
Hmm.
it, and it's. I wouldn't recommend starting the Seeing Evil, Hearing Evil, Speaking Evil with Speaking Evil, even though you could.
Hmm.
But then you're kind of starting with developed characters already.
Right, right.
So um, you might want to see how they got there.
Hmm.
But I do, of course, for new readers, make sure that they have a little that they can go on before they just, so they can dive right in
Hmm.
to the new story. But it takes me probably, for that series, it took me, so the first one was published in 2015, then 2017. I just finished the third one. It won't be published till 2021 at least.
Hmm.
So that's 4 years between that second and third book.
Well,
And
but you
yeah,
have a long publishing cycle with your publishers, right?
yes, usually when you sign a contract with, I think almost all of them that I've worked with, it's been they have a year to get it out,
Hmm.
and I've never seen it taken less than 6 months, but usually they go up to the year.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's fine because I'm always like you. I'm writing something else in the meantime.
Hmm.
Do you find you finding it easy to find time to write even in this crazy kind of? I know we're stuck at home, so maybe it's easier, but the world is a distraction too, and all the horrors that are going on outside. So
Yeah, I think it was an emotional thing that I just didn't have the creative energy to write. And like I said, I run an art group, and a lot of the artists were saying they didn't have the energy to paint, even though they had the time and they could sit at home, but they just didn't have the, I guess, the mental focus or whatever to try to do something like that. So it was a couple months in there that I just wasn't interested in writing. But I think I mentioned on Facebook that there's a copper mine in Simsbury, Connecticut, which they turned into a prison back in the 1700s because it was like this deep mine. There was only one shaft out of it, and the copper had run out. So they said, hey, if we just put like a fence on the top of this shaft, no one can get out. They'll be trapped 30 feet underneath ground, and we'll never have to worry about prisoners escaping. So I have wanted to write about that since the end of 2018. And with the pandemic, they locked it up. But I finally decided if I'm going to do something, I'm going to write about this prison. And I wrote them emails and they said, sure, we'll give you a private tour. So I went out there, they gave us a private tour. It was absolutely amazing down there, if you ever get a chance to go see it. And then suddenly I was writing all sorts of stuff. So
wow,
finding that kind of inspiration can
what did
help.
just throw food down to them or something?
It was a mine, so they could lower things up and down. So yeah, they'd lower down food.
Almost like a dumbwaiter.
Yep,
Or
yep.
yeah. Yeah, that doesn't sound like a pleasant place. It must be dark and damp
It was
and
completely dark. It was always like 60 to 70 degrees because the cave mitigated the temperature fluctuations outside, but it was completely dark. There was slime on the walls. There was always dripping water sounds, and there were bats. So yeah, you can't imagine living down there. And most of the criminals found ways to escape because it was just so nasty that they would do anything at all to get back out. Your feet would start to rot because of the
oh.
damp.
It sounds like
Go
out in
see
the
a
movie.
horror story for you.
Yeah, like the cave or the descent too for movies wise. And you turn into bat people or cave dwelling people.
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
No, so even at the time they called it a hell on earth, and people would do anything not to get put into the prison.
And where was it? Pennsylvania.
Simsbury, so just over the Connecticut border, like in the top center. north of Hartford.
I always say you can't trust those people in Connecticut. No, just kidding. Anybody from Connecticut?
No, they did have a reputation back there. They were super strict. They didn't celebrate Easter or Christmas or anything like that. There couldn't be any singing, no music playing. So they were the hardcore religious
Sure.
people down there, and they
Oh,
were really happy about tossing anyone who did anything wrong at all down into the prison.
yeah, I'll stay away from Connecticut if I can.
No, you have to go to the prison once they open up again. It is really cool, and
I
even
like
like
my feet though.
the acoustics of the sounds when you're down there. You know, everything sounds really odd, and there's these deep echoey things. So it would just play with your mind completely to be trapped down in there.
Yeah. So, and you might edit this out, but why don't you tell us about your latest book?
Well, the latest book. So I have a pen name that's all my racy stuff, and we were talking about Worcester being a mill town. My very first book was set in Worcester because it's a gritty mill town and there's child pornographers and that kind of stuff. You know, the typical stuff that happens in Worcester. And the latest one was set in New Haven, which is another grungy, nasty town. And the end of that story was going to have the heroine tossed into the Newgate prisons because they wanted somewhere really nasty to put her while they tortured her. And I couldn't get in for 2 years because I like to visit places that I'm going to write about. So I finally got in to write that scene, and the person who gave me the tour was so helpful that I felt sort of guilty about only using all her material for this one scene in this long New Haven series. So I said, all right, I'll write a series specifically about the mines, and I'll set it back in the 1700s when they were actually using it as a prison. So that's what I'm working on now. It was supposed to be just one novella so I could get it done before I went on to other projects, and now I just finished the third novella, and I have to start a fourth novella to get the storyline to wrap up.
How long does it take you to write a novella?
Well, I went there in May, I think. So then I wrote one in June, one July, one in August. I'm just about to put the third one out, and then I'll get the next one done hopefully next week, because then I have one set in Salem that I have to get done before Halloween comes out. So I write fairly quickly when that goes. When I'm on a roll, I'll write 1,000 words an hour. And if I'm hunkered down in the bedroom, then I can write 10,000 words a day because I'll just go at it for 10 hours straight.
So do you edit as you go, or do you try just free flow almost and then kind of go back to it later?
I'll go forward, and then when I take a break to have lunch or something like that, when I come back in, I'll start at the beginning and I'll read through and I'll edit to the point that I stopped at and then start writing afresh. So that way I get right back into the mood of what I was doing. And the more I do that, the more the front part gets polished and polished and polished more.
I actually kind of do the same strategy, but I can't, not in the shortened time, not in a day. Mine's like, okay, I wrote this for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back and edit and then continue from the point of after where I ended last. But wow, you can do that in a span of a day.
Well, but you're inventing things and having to create horror characters. I'm in essence writing a real world version of what I just saw. So if I go down in the mines and I'm walking around, then I go home and I'm just writing out the scenes of what I saw in the mines, and I'm imagining a person going through it. But the person part usually isn't hard for me. And I don't plot out what's going to happen to them. So I just let the person do whatever they're going to do and see what happens.
And how many of these characters do you base on yourself?
Well, I suppose a lot of them are based on people I know, or, you know, we watch a ton of movies. We've seen all the MidSummer Murders, and I think there's 30 seasons of those, all the Morses, all the Lewises, all the Endeavors, all the CI strikes. So we just watch entire mystery series after mystery series, and you get a whole bunch of really interesting characters out of that. So, and lots of interesting plot lines.
Are you watching the foreign ones on like Netflix?
The which ones?
The foreign, like I love the foreign mystery.
Oh, foreign mysteries. We watch a ton of British mysteries, and I think there's one coming out set in Amsterdam, and we're going to be watching that.
Yeah, this one, I like the British ones, but there's like they might have been British too. No, Wallander was great. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I'll have to take a look for that.
That was with Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a very depressing show. just so you know, it's very depressing.
Okay.
Border Town, I'm watching right now. It's kind of like on the Finnish-Russian border.
Okay.
So I don't listen to the dub version. I read the subtitles, but there's so many great shows that came out on Netflix that are from, and I'm guessing and I'm hoping it's because they take their best shows and put them on Netflix from these other areas. But definitely the BBC has a ton of them too. Yeah. Broadchurch was great. Did you watch?
Trying to think, was that the one set on the ocean side with like a little boy getting killed, or was that
Yes,
something else?
that's exactly it. They
Okay,
made a,
Bob loved that one, and I could not watch it. I think something about little boys getting killed.
oh, it was good.
Okay,
The British version had oh my God, a Doctor Who, and I can't think of his name right now.
David
Don't
Tennant.
shoot. Yes, yes, yes. But there was an American version as well, I think. I didn't see
Okay.
the American version. But that's where I get. I mean, I just mining those shows. There's been so many of them. One had Jorah Belmont, Jorah Sir Jorah from
Game of Thrones.
yeah, Game of Thrones in it. That was an Irish one, obviously, but so yeah, police work isn't exactly the same around the globe, but it's definitely fun to watch.
Yep. So that's my relaxing evening stuff that I do with Bob, but then that ends up being fodder for the writing that I do. So it gives me all sorts of different ideas about characters. And I think, like you said, watching international ones helps expand the scope of the types of characters you portray.
Yeah, I'm sure you watched Sherlock.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yep.
great. And then I think Poldark is coming back. No,
Oh, okay.
Luther, another show.
Yep.
There we go. See, now I'm getting my BBC ones. But those are going off the air. Luther and Sherlock. Actually, I heard Sherlock might be coming back, but I'm not sure. That'd be
Well,
awesome.
everything got thrown askew by this pandemic.
Oh, there's a cat.
Yep. This one is Zuzu.
Well, there you go. We're dog people.
Aw, oh, he's a cutie. Look at those
So,
ears.
this is Dakota, my little corgi.
Oh, wait, my cat's actually looking at the screen now. No, you can't touch the keys. So is that a girl or a boy?
That's a girl.
Oh, okay.
Named the
very
character
cute.
Dakota too. Hey, come here. This is. Oh, there we go. This would be Ryder.
Aw.
That's the Aussie. Oh, don't look at me.
Oh no, look at Mats.
He likes to be picked up and kissed.
Oh, they are too cute.
We have a cat too, but he's probably keeping his distance right now.
Right. Suspicious things are going on.
You want to say hi to everybody, Ryder? Yeah.
So have you ever thought about writing a science fiction horror mystery? I mean, what other genres could we get into there?
I could do so. That's funny. Other than fantasy, I'd say mystery is the hardest genre to write for me, anyway.
Okay.
Because it's so hard to not use clues that other people have used 100 times. You know, like, oh, the note was written in left-handed. This character is left-handed. You know.
Right.
Oh, mystery solved. Or the butler did it. But I mean, even if you're thinking of doing something unique, someone's probably done it before. Everybody's done everything before.
Well, and that's part of, when we're watching 30 seasons of MidSummer, at some point things start to repeat a little, but
Right.
there isn't a new story. You just have to get a little different kind of twist on what you're doing.
Right, but setting it up is equally as difficult. I mean, you don't want to rush to the reveal, but you gotta lay your Easter eggs so people can, won't be like, that's just bogus at the end. There's no way you could have figured that out. Oh, it was the twin that nobody knew existed. Then you get into like General Hospital or something. And if I'm going to do it, I would want to do it in a way that would be surprising but yet conceivable to the reader. I don't think I have enough in me at the moment to do it. To do a mystery, but I would love to. So What Hides Within, my first one was a mystery. A kind of, several part mystery, different plot lines going at the same time, and you don't necessarily know what character is responsible for what. But I added humor to that, so it was, it wasn't meant to be taken as seriously as you would watch a Luther episode or,
Okay, yeah.
or your midsummer shows.
Oh,
Or,
those are all very lighthearted. Those just get silly. How can we kill the person in the strangest possible manner?
I might have to watch this then. 30 seasons, you said?
Yeah, it's well, and the characters like keep cycling through, so you really get to see the characters evolve and grow and get older and all that kind of stuff. So that's part of the fun. But yeah, I mean, they're out in the middle of quiet little suburban villages or rural villages, and there's these like sex clubs going on and satanic parties. There's just all sorts of chaos.
I believe it. You can't trust those quiet towns.
Yep, could happen. They get a little stir crazy after a while.
So is it a very adult theme then? I think I would like.
I think the British
You're
approach
selling.
those kinds of things differently than a U.S. audience does. So what we might think of as adult theme, I mean, they have top frontal nudity fairly often, and it's just part of the way they approach things, and they just talk about things more openly, I think.
Yeah, I find that too, and that's why I like kind of the foreign shows. They do seem more mature about that kind of stuff than
Mhm.
less censored than we are, and I mean, I'm not
Because we were
really.
founded by Puritans. It's our legacy.
Well, I mean, I can see the flip side. If you have children and anybody can access the Netflix and just put. Well, actually, I guess you can put parental controls on that stuff too, right? So,
Yep. Yep.
we're good parents. Yes, I blame the parents for me not having good TV.
Well, and like I think I've talked about in some of our horror panels before, I used to watch NCIS because it was a escape from something. So if I was feeling stressed or something, I'd watch NCIS because it was happy people making jokes, and yeah, there'd be a murder, but they'd solve the problem. And then NCIS started heading in the torture direction, and I'm like, really? There's nothing sacred in our world. I can't even watch my little comfy show without people being tortured and their teeth being pulled out.
Well, then you
So,
got to move on to NCIS Los Angeles, I guess.
well, no, they were doing that, and that's in NCIS LA. So yeah,
I,
so I think nothing's safe. You just have to lock your kids into the Disney Channel, into the Cartoon Network to be able to keep them away from that stuff now.
I don't know. When I was a kid, well, I might not be a good example. But I was reading Stephen King and watching R-rated movies like crazy at probably 12, 13 easily.
Yeah.
And I haven't killed anybody yet, so I got that going for me.
Excellent.
But yeah, I don't know if I turned out quite well adjusted, but I'm not a violent criminal, so I think I could. And I also played I played Grand Theft Auto too, so I played those video games that they say cause you to go crazy and kill people, but I don't know. I would say that I am very. If people get me going, and you're getting me going a little bit, I'm very anti-censorship and very First Amendment rights. Centric. Oh, am I not able to speak today? Centric. There you go.
Yep. No, I agree. At the same time, I think it'd be good if there was some sort of a little note up front to give a hint of what's in the show, especially if it's a show that's been a certain way for a while, so you draw expectations about it, and then suddenly it takes a twist
True.
that you
Yeah.
weren't quite expecting.
You should always have that for mature audiences, or
Mhm.
contains.
Torture scenes.
They're very
That's what I
specific
like.
now. Torture, suicide, sex, BDSM. They'll say it's very specific. I'm sure you cover all this stuff in your racier stuff.
Yeah.
You
Well, and that's the thing. It's not like I mind sex or I mind torture, but there's a time when my mind is okay with that sort of stuff, and then there's a time when I'm just so stressed out from the world that I want something very soft and squishy to relax with. And I want to be able to know when I'm watching something that used to be soft and squishy that it's turned into a torture fest. All right. Do you have any words for aspiring writers who want to start to be like you?
I would say be like Lisa.
No.
And write. Yes. Well, to a sense, if the best way to get better at writing is to keep doing it, and if you're not as good an editor as Lisa, get other eyes on it to make sure you're putting out your best foot forward and put out polished work before you submit it anywhere.
Mhm.
You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot before
Right.
you get started. But yeah, I mean, the hardest part about writing is sitting down and doing the writing. So um, if you can commit yourself to that and have the well, all right, I'm going to take that back. The hardest part of writing for me is the marketing and because I hate it being an introvert and stuff. But the longest period of time in writing is doing the actual work. And if you have the mindset to sit down and write a novel or even a short story, and you think it's good, I would be happy if you reached out to me. I could help you find a market for it.
Oh, great.
So I like helping any beginning author I can. People help me along the way, so I like to pay it forward.
Mhm. And where can people find you?
I have my website, authorjasonparent.com. I'm on Twitter and Facebook, all the usual places. And of course, Amazon.
Mhm.
All my books are listed there under my author profile.
Great. You have any final thoughts you want to share?
No, I'm just very thankful for you having me on the show. I'm going to stay away from Connecticut and any holes in the ground that have fences over them.
No, you have to go see it just once.
And I'll just keep on writing, and I hope you do the same.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on, and I'll look for your books again. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.